we're in bed and like Naomi kind of turned over to me. I'm like, I can't. I'm sad. Hello and welcome back to Dodge, Parry and Roll, your fortnightly Australian independent video game and existential crisis show. I'm your host, Joshua LaRosa, joined once again by cousin Vinnie. How are you, Vinnie?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Sorry, I had to lower my desk just a little bit because I looked that little bit too short again.
But I feel like I'm a little high. Not in the good way.
Yeah, not in the fun way. You're just
not in the fun
high
way.
as in height-wise.
Height, yes. Height is in height-wise, which is the first time I've ever said that. But
how you doing?
I'm well. If you're joining us here on YouTube, consider subscribing. We are, as I said, a fortnightly show. We ramble, we talk about life, the universe, video games, and we've got a jam-packed show this week. This is probably the biggest episode I think we've ever had, not in terms of size and scale, right? Size is important, but in terms of impact, the motion of the ocean, Vinny.
Yeah, size does matter, but it's all about the motion of the ocean. And this one, the motion of this week has affected us greatly.
It's got a lot of girth, this one, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a wide load.
It's a wide load.
Take that as you will. But I've been well. I appeared on For the Players podcast yesterday as a recording, so it should be live on YouTube tomorrow, the Pop Culturist PlayStation podcast. So check those guys out on YouTube. I spent probably over nearly close to 2 hours on their show talking through everything PlayStation. So it's probably going to be a lot of crossover content between what I said yesterday versus today. But I will say this, as payback for having me on the show. I was a bit lazy in terms of taking notes, in terms of the show, run of show. So I am revealing here that I've simply stolen the notes that they had written for their show and have copied and pasted into our template.
Oh my gosh, just double up. You're just doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm there. I'm going to steal it, right? So if you're listening...
Yeah, true. You did the work.
Thank you, Max. But yeah, I was... what else has been going on? Potty training. Been potty training Nathan, my son, who's nearly 3 in August. And that has consumed my wife and I's time and free time as we hover around our living room with a half-naked child being close to a potty at all times. So I've had an interesting few weeks. Weekend's been good. I'm in a bit of a weird energy. I'm in a weird mood today. It's a dark and sour time, but I feel actually a little upbeat. But Vinny, what about you? I know you've got pretty big things going on in your life too, besides growing your hair out. What's been happening?
Yeah, so I've been working on my house. So for those people who don't know, I bought a house and I'm currently renovating it, and I'm trying to do as much of the stuff myself because I figure if someone else can do it, I can do it, and it's just that dumb brain dead energy where I should be able to do it, it's fine. And it's just been taking so long because not only are the tradespeople experienced, they also have the tools to complete the job in a timely manner, where me and my dad do not have these tools to complete them in a timely manner. But
as is the way with most Italians, right? But they somehow get it done.
Yeah, we get it done, and that's what we're getting it done. All right, Rome wasn't built in a day, people.
No,
Rome was not built in a day. No. So so we had to put up a couple of walls, knock down a window, level a floor, which was terribly out of levels, like this.
Wow.
So that was not good, but it's been fun, but it's been exhausting. I've just had back-to-back 9-hour days on a weekend, plus like a full-time job, and then trying to balance social, like girlfriend, social life, all that stuff. It's been rough, and here I am on a Monday night doing a podcast because this is the important stuff. This is the stuff that matters.
This is. And we've got a full-on episode. I want to get straight into it because I feel like there's a lot for us to dive into. But maybe we quickly touch on the games we've been playing as is tradition.
As is tradition.
I'll be honest, I haven't been playing much. It's been a really depressing week. As we'll get into the news a little bit later, hit me like a brick wall. I was depressed. And I'm referring to PlayStation ceasing physical disc production in 2028 and the closure of the PS3 and Vita store. Actively depressed. Very sad.
Yep.
Was in my emotions. it was nearly as if I lost somebody. I think I've been on a messaging rampage. I'd be like, oh, Anyway, we'll get into that. So I haven't actually been playing too much. I dabbled in a little bit of Xenoblade Chronicles.
Couldn't do it
for Switch 2. Just couldn't do it. I knew going into it that the gameplay was just not. I just didn't know because I've never played a game like that in terms of that combat system. So there was a real risk that I would fall off. Potentially, it's one of those games where it's like if I stuck with it and kept pushing, at some point it would click and it would be like this revolutionary moment. But the British accents, like it was just, I can't.
Can you change it to Japanese voices? Or is that you're going to find that to be worse?
No, I probably would be fine doing that. I'm a cultured man. But yeah, it just wasn't clicking for me. I could appreciate it being pretty advanced for what it was at the time, like 2010, a Wii game. Like it's nothing like that. It's more, it's really the gameplay that isn't hooking me. The story is actually quite interesting, like the setup and the initial. I think I played maybe 3-4 hours, so not enough to have an opinion on the game, but enough to go. I don't just,
enough to have an opinion that you don't like it.
Yes, yeah,
that's fair.
So
not for everyone.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in this little pocket where there's a lot coming out in August that I want to play. I'm kind of just dabbling in a few things. I've also come off like back to back great games. So I am taking a time to just, not be playing video games at all points of my spare time and just do other things. But Vinny, what about you? What have you been playing?
Well, we spoke about 007 First Light. We're both playing at the time. I have since beaten it. Pretty good game. It was definitely, I enjoyed it as it carried on. Like as I got more into the story, I enjoyed it a lot more. It kind of really hooked me towards the gameplay. It kind of felt like it really gelled together. It felt really seamless towards the end, especially in that last mission. But I think you spoke about it. We spoke about it off air. We don't like the way, like the Uncharted games, they do boss battles.
Yeah.
Because it just seems
Lazarevich in the pit. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's like, it's not like superfluous, but it just seems so mundane to have a boss battle in one of those things. It's almost like the mission is the mission. How the way Halo does an ending in a campaign is it's just a mission, and that's almost the way it has to be in one of these games, where it's just a final mission where there's a lot on the line. It's a big climax scenario. You don't really have to, like, the enemy isn't the enemy. The enemy is the game.
Yeah. That's what we were kind of talking about offline. It's like there's this need in these style of games, Uncharted being one of them, where it's like you need to have a boss battle, right? It's a video game. You got to have a boss battle, and it's like it just pulls you out of the experience because it feels like it's the only point. I mean, you're playing a video game the entire time, but it's the only point that really makes you go, yes, this is a video game, where it's like, all right, boss battle, health bar, here we go.
And they're the weakest parts of the game, I feel like. Same with Uncharted and same with 007. But overall, the story was good. I enjoyed it. But I actually already sold my copy. And
so you're part of the problem.
No. Yeah. Well, I sold my copy because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
We'll talk about later. But I managed to pick up 2 Switch games. So I bought Hades 2 on the Switch 2 physical, which was great. And I also grabbed Dead Cells, which is a fantastic game that came out in 2018. This is the Game of the Year edition.
Yeah.
So
Studio's making the new Castlevania.
So it's got the little key ring and stuff, which is pretty cool.
Look at that. Physical copy.
Beautiful. And you know what? It's mine forever. Game on the cartridge.
Game on the cartridge. Well, I think that's a perfect segue and probably the quickest we've ever gotten to the main topic of discussion. And what a set of topics to discuss. Today's episode is going to be focused on, of course, PlayStation announcing the end of physical disc production in 2028. And then, of course, the final closure of the PS3 and Vita stores. We're going to talk a little bit about our favorite memories of that generation. What were Vinny and Josh doing in 2006 to 2013? So we'll share some stories.
Playing a whole lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! That's what I was doing.
I don't know what the hell I was doing, but let's jump straight in. So I'm going to jump straight to PlayStation blog, where they announced on July 1st physical disc production ending in January 2028 for new games releasing on PlayStation consoles. This was a blog post by none other than Sid Schumann, the director of communications, I believe, at PlayStation. So they sent him out twice to announce some pretty bad news. All right, let's go through this. As consumer preferences and the broader entertainment industry continue to shift away from physical discs to digital games, physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles will be discontinued starting January 2028. Following this date, new games will be available on PlayStation Store. This is an important part, and at retailers in digital formats. This transition has no impact on games that have already been released or will be releasing prior to January 2028 in disc format. This is a natural direction for Sony Interactive Entertainment to adopt to consumer trends, as the general preference for digital media significantly outpaces physical discs. This transition will enable us to align more closely with how most of our community prefers to access and play games today. We'll continue to prioritize our resources to drive innovation in how players can access games and provide choice as to where players prefer to purchase new games, whether that's at retailers or the PlayStation Store. We remain committed to delivering a world-class gaming experience to our fans, and we thank you for your continued support. So, Vinny, there is a lot in there. I'm going to jump to some tangential bits of information that have come out as a result of this. So, as of this date, new games will only be available on the PlayStation Store or at retailers, as we discussed. Sony has cited an 85% game purchase split between digital and physical, which they're using to help justify the move. GTA 6 obviously set a precedent with this, releasing a downloaded code in the box rather than a physical copy. And as I mentioned, the transition is described as a natural direction. So, following the announcement, the PlayStation Twitter post has received over 127 million views, which is actually more than the GTA 6 pre-order announcement. Yep. It has been community noted 3 times. Sony's attempted to remove the community note on multiple occasions, and it's been added back on as fans run amok online. Vinny, I think there's a lot of points we can discuss here. There's the business ramifications, what this means for PS6, but I think first and foremost we should touch on the feelings, on the feels.
Yeah.
How do you feel as Sony announces the end of physical discs?
My feelings are hurt. Like, it's sad, but it's also kind of annoying, because not only does the annoying part is Sony makes the discs. That's the worst part, where it's they can cease production of all discs, not just PlayStation, like PS5 discs. Like, physical media is actually their monopoly, now that I think about it. I mean, in terms of when it comes to like Blu-rays, DVDs, and then
I think they've got a shared license with like Samsung and maybe a few others for Blu-ray, but they're the primary kind of owner of the
primary
technology.
And even like the AAA Blu-rays and stuff like that, are things that they patented to get games on the discs for this long time. And they only have, I think it's generally like one manufacturer in Austria, I think it is.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the fact that they're already shutting that down is crazy. But yeah, they're
repurposing the people, just for transparency's sake. They're repurposing the site to make micro lenses for devices.
It's sad. It's sad. It's annoying. It's frustrating, and we kind of spoke about this for a little bit when we were for the players. We're talking about physical media and how it was like the way that you and I consume games is we actually like to have the physical thing with us. Because it's ours. We own it. We can do what we want with it. We can choose to sell it. We can choose to keep playing it. We can choose to take it offline. And now that choice of how we get to own it is being taken away from us. So it really is going into that dystopian future of you will own nothing and be happy, which is what people talk about when it comes to always online and chronically online.
Yeah, I want to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to split this conversation to 5 segments. That way we can kind of keep on track and because there's a lot to cover and a lot of things that intersect with each other. But if we kind of silo them, we probably will have a better way of making our way through the discussion. So the central issues I want us to kind of cover, I think these are the main things that people want to hear about. First and foremost, the culture, right? What this does for the culture of gaming. Then we'll talk about ownership, obviously some of the points you touched on, resale, preservation, and then consumer rights, right? You also touched on the fact of owning a physical copy and what that means from a consumer rights perspective. But let's start with the culture. Vinny, you and I have both worked in retail, in video games retail, probably at the tail end of the heyday, right? In that kind of back end 2000. When did I join? 2012 into 2015-ish.
It was PS3 going into PS4.
PS3 going into PS4. So at that point, physical and digital sales were probably closer to like 50, 60% digital and 40 to 50% physical, right? It was still kind of quite close. I remember specifically during the PS3 generation, it was more 50-50. And that was because obviously the introduction of PSN and Xbox Live, and a lot of people started buying digitally, but physical was still the primary way people...
And in Australia, physical was the primary here. It was higher. It was way higher here because our internet is nowhere near as good as America's.
That is true.
Physical was way more dominant here.
Yeah. So I'll give my high level reactions first, and then we'll go into culture. So when this was announced, I somehow missed it. I think I just wasn't online.
Yeah.
I was living life, and I got into bed that night and opened up Twitter. I had a few messages from people that knew that I'd want to see this, including yourself. And my gut reaction was sadness.
Yeah.
It was a guttural feeling of sadness. And I think I yelled out, like, what the fuck, basically. And Naomi came rushing out of the bathroom. She's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I'm not even going to explain it to you right now because you're not even going to be able to comprehend why this is important.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to sound silly. And it was really playing on my mind, like, to the point, I didn't say this on the show yesterday when I was on For the Players, because I'm like, it's probably a little bit too intimate, but we're in bed and, like, Naomi kind of turned over to me. I'm like, I can't. I'm sad. This really was a kick in the guts for me. And I explained on For the Players yesterday, and there's going to be a lot of repeated content here, but I don't consider myself a collector of games in the sense that I don't go out of my way to buy games to collect. Yeah. Everything I buy is a game that I wanted to play at the time, and I purchased, played, and then it's gone on my shelf. I have had to go back for PS1 and 2 because that was at the era that I was trading in a lot of games as a kid, unfortunately. And repurchase those, or these are games that I played at other people's house, or my uncle, who I talk about a lot as someone who's introduced me to gaming. So that kind of backfilled my PS1 and 2 library. But from PS3 onwards, is all me. And that is a part of it. The reason I play physical is for a multitude of reasons. Firstly, it's pricing. We can talk about that a little bit later. But from the culture angle, it's about the connection I have with the game. The sense of feeling... people often talk about, when you get the game, you open it up, you got the manual. Obviously, we don't have manuals anymore, but that nostalgic feeling of getting something physical, that's part of it. But really for me, the big part of it is like this sense of completion I feel like when I put the game back on the shelf. So I do this OCD thing where when I buy a game, it sits on my TV unit in my games room, and I'll play it, and it will stay there until I finish the game. And then when it's done, and I, do my running around in the game, collecting some trophies, whatever, I have a process. I delete the game off my drive, obviously not the saved data, but the game itself. The disc goes in the case, obviously, and then that game case goes on my shelf. And it's a sense of completion, and I feel like I have such a vivid memory of each game, story of how I felt when I was playing that game, where I was in my life, for all those games on my shelf. As opposed to digital games, where I feel like it's just kind of this piece of media I've consumed, and I don't have that same connection, which is very much a 90s kid problem or an 80s kid, even, for those in the 80s. But it is true. To the point, as you know, Vinny, I've purchased games I own digitally, again, sometimes
Physically,
at full retail,
yeah.
just to have the disc. So it's like sealed. I've just put it in my case because I've obviously played the game. So from a culture perspective, this really did impact me. But Vinny, like for you, culture-wise, and obviously working in retail, we've got vivid memories of like the midnight releases, the people excited to pre-order, people lay-buying and paying it off slowly and slowly working their way up to purchase. So, talk me through some of your cultural touchstones for this announcement, and then we're going to get into the real negative stuff. This is like a light way in.
I think for me, it's the sense of community as well, but not for the same of like, like me and my friends going day one to go pick up a game that we all wanted to play and buy at the same time. I remember getting Last of Us the day it came out with me and a friend, went to JB Hi-Fi.
June
I remember
2013.
Yep. I remember because it was the day I finished my course.
Was it June 13th?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to fact check. That'd be wild, but keep going.
Yeah. And there's like Kingdom Hearts 2 for me is like one of the biggest releases ever. And I remember us importing it from America, like 3 of us importing it from America because it came to America. It came to America like a few months later.
June 14th.
Here. Oh, wow, that's still crazy.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
And just the sense of like, oh my god, we got it, we have to play it, and even it's just even borrowing games. Like I had memories of going to sleepovers as like friends and then leaving with like a game, be like, I'll give it to you next week at school, kind of thing, and just actually being able to take it, put it in, like play it, share it, have that experience, being like, oh my god, you get up to this part, it's so exciting. But knowing that you're trying to take better care of it because it's like, oh my god, it's theirs, it's their possession, like they own it, I can't scratch it, I can't damage it, it's theirs.
Like my
and same for my collection too. And it's same for my stuff too. Like I have games where I complete, and the games that I really, really like, I take really good care of. I have physical collections of through multiple languages of games that I really enjoy. I have Japanese copies of games like the Mega Mans. There's just, and it's that, I think what you said it best with the memory. It triggers something on when I see it on the shelf and be like, that game is one of my favorite games, and I remember this point. But I can't do that in a digital landscape when nothing's shelf, nothing's there, unless I have a rolling screen that's going through every single game listed in my digital media. I honestly forget that stuff's there. But on the shelf, it just triggers me like, oh my god, yes. It's like Donkey Kong Country 3, like, I love this game. Smash. Bring it out, look at the manual, look at the cartridge. Give that cartridge a sniff and a blow.
Sniff and a blow.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's really sad to see the fact that this is happening.
And obviously we're of that generation that, as I mentioned before, that played and purchased physical. And this is where it probably ties into some of the business ramifications, is that our generation is no longer the growth sector for video games, right? It's the younger generation who doesn't have this tether to physical media. In fact, they have the opposite. And the issue I think a lot of people have is around the fact that I would say the most hardcore of gamers, I would say there's probably a fair chunk of those who are physical gamers, right? They're the people like us in their 30s, 40s, who engage, who buy a lot of games and play a lot on PlayStation. So I want to get into some of the business ramifications of what this means. This is where, it gets negative, because it really does feel like a terrible announcement. And I had said that I do feel this is probably PlayStation's biggest misstep, going all the way back to maybe PS3's launch. I haven't seen, even through their games as a service push, Concord, all those different bits and pieces, those are all isolated incidents that sometimes happen together, closures of studios that suck. But a move like this has massive ramifications across the industry, across developers and publishers, across retailers, and across fans. And the issue I take with this is, firstly, I feel that the announcement of this, this ending of physical media is sudden, too soon, and reminds me of when Xbox did the Xbox One DRM thing. And it's like, well, today we play everything online and everything's DRM'd, and it's like, but it was too soon. And my view on this was that perhaps in a world, if I'm Sony, there was a world where AI and this AI bubble didn't happen, right? PS5's now being sold much cheaper than it was at launch. PS6 is coming out next year, is going to be priced cheaper. There was more certainty on people moving from PS5 into PS6. And in that world, they might have gone, okay, we've got 85, they claim 85% of people play digitally, right? And we know that number's not right, because that includes games that are only digital. So there's no option to buy those games physical. So that number is probably more closer to, say, 70%, right? And that's consistent when you look at Sony's, the Insomniac leak, where they had a whole bunch of physical and digital splits for their PlayStation first-party games. Sometimes it's like 60% physical. Like, sometimes physical still outpaces digital in some instances. But I think that the decisions that would have been made a generation ahead, right, the end of PS6, are being made now, because Sony felt that moving from PS6 into PS7 is probably going to be a point in time where consoles will need to rapidly change. PS6 probably is going to be the last real console, right?
Yeah.
So with everything that's gone on in the world and so much uncertainty in the space, the increase in component pricing, and we've seen pricing go through the roof on hardware, everything, software, the whole thing. I think Sony's worried that they don't have a clear pathway of success for PS6. I think PS6 is not going to crack 100 million units as PS5 did. I think it's going to probably be closer to maybe PS3's numbers and being the 80 million units, right? So selling less than PS5, far less than PS4. And I think this uncertainty in the market is causing Sony to go, we need to shore up profits, because we may be stepping into a generation now where the hardware is going to be so expensive that adoption of PS6 is going to be significantly lower than we've seen in any other generation. So we're going to make decisions today that we probably wouldn't make for another 5 or 6 years to shore ourselves up for that generation, is my thought. So they're making this decision now, and it sucks because it's too soon.
Yes.
Go, Vince.
It's funny that we think it's too soon. Like, in terms of the PS5 still feels brand new. You know what I mean? It's more expensive than the day we got it, obviously, because of the price increases and all that stuff, which is wild to me, because it's the first generation that's ever done that. Every other generation has always had price decreases. And you spoke about with the AI bubble. But it is too soon. It's something that just doesn't seem right. And the games that are physical for us are the enthusiasts, but also the sales of games, like we spoke about before, where it's their Big Ten network games make PlayStation the most money.
50% of their revenues, 10 games. Exactly.
So those games are buy once, cry once in terms of physical media, but they keep that renewable source. But whereas and we speak about how their first party games and their story and action adventure games, they're not really made for those top 10 people who are giving them 50% of the revenue. They're made for us, who play game to game, who are actual, I'm not a Fortnite player, I'm not a Roblox player, I'm a PlayStation player, or I'm a Nintendo player. We play a multitude of games, very much of it single player, story driven. And those games are the ones where physical media shines.
Yeah.
And whereas you get your FIFAs, your Call of Duties, your NBAs, those games outsell most of those games, but they're digital heavy because the general consumer just doesn't care like the enthusiasts do. It's crazy that this is happening. I think I don't think it should have been 2028. I mean, it's almost kind of says that we know the PS6 is coming in 2028 because it's most likely going to release. My theory is it's going to release without a disk drive, and we can get into that later when we another topic. But I think maybe not even 2030. I still think it's too soon. But give us like a 5-year. Give us a 5-year to brace us.
Yeah,
like a year and a half is not long enough.
No, and it's in the way that it was announced too, right? Like,
it was abrupt. It was just a blog post. It wasn't anything that it wasn't anything that they're like, oh, we'll just put this out as a little quick cliff note, and like this is a huge deal. Do they not understand how big of a deal this is, and the repercussions that came of this? Because they were just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna do this, and throw the Vita in there, because they tried to do that prior.
PS3 and Vita store was 2021, and then was done. We got people kind of outraged, and we got another 5 years out of it, and we'll talk.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
But no, it's I don't like this one bit. I don't think I'll ever like this. I cannot see a world where I would be on Sony's side to have this. Not
on this. Yeah, and if
I get they're monopolizing the ecosystem.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll talk about a bit more of the physical, the business ramifications and some of the decision making here, and some of the thoughts and feelings behind it from some of the industry, right? So, a big part of this is that for the longest time, as generations went on, going all the way back from, say, the NES generation, but let's use PlayStation for instance and go from there. Every generation's grown, right? Amount of people playing, amount of people buying, the amount of money spent has gone up and up. And right, we saw a massive uptick in COVID. We know all this, right?
Yeah.
But I think very quickly the industry's realized that it definitely has matured, and it's no longer about how many consoles we can sell. That number has been finite and is fixed. In fact, is growing in the single digits, not in the double digits that it had been years prior. Yeah. So what that means is the shift becomes around how many consoles we can sell to how much money can I make from each individual user, right? And that's when you've seen Sony's investor calls obviously pivot to talk about monthly active users, engagement hours, how much PlayStation Plus subscribers they have, what digital software sales look like, what's the average spend, what's the average time spent by each person. So what that tells me is that they've come to that realization that this isn't a graph going up forever. So now they're trying to batten down the hatches and do what Apple did with iPhone, and that's to lock everything down as much as they can.
In an ecosystem.
The difference here is many, and this is something Sean Layden said, who was one of the former presidents of Sony, that PlayStation has a responsibility to the industry as a steward, as the primary de facto way to play on console in a high-end space. Right? They've had competitors out there. There's obviously PC, but PlayStation have a legacy and a responsibility to the industry. And this pivot impacts them more than it would an Xbox, because Xbox is mainly popular in the US. One of their consoles today is already digital. Their biggest way of service and game delivery is Game Pass, which is a digital service. And they're more heavily tied to PC, right? And that's where that ecosystem is going. So there's a less... furor around them going to digital, because their next console, Helix, will 99.9% be digital only.
And everyone was already prepared for that.
Everyone was already prepared for that. But for PlayStation, it's a global brand that has reach in markets that are physical driven, like Japan and other parts of the world, particularly in spaces where they don't have great internet, they have a lower economic scale. People rely on pre-owned games and a whole bunch of different schemes to get into the gaming world, right? So Sony's going, all right, we're batting down the hatches, and again, going into this unprecedented waters that is PS6 and the new world of AI and what that means for pricing and components. They want to shore their bets now, and they're making drastic decisions that they probably would have made in 2035, right? And they're making those decisions now, but the industry is not quite there and is not, I don't think, ready for it, because the outrage has been unlike anything I've ever seen. And Sony knew this was going to be, I think, obviously not well received, but did they expect the backlash that they've gotten? I don't think so. The timing of the announcement July 1st is even more interesting because Sony's earning call is on July 30th, which only covers up until June 30th.
Yeah.
What that means is it will actually be missed in the next earnings call and will only be picked up on the following one, which means they've got 2 months, basically, to try to settle everybody down. I want to talk about what was announced, but what was not announced. And I think that is where my pain really sits, is we all knew this was coming, right? We all agree that this was eventually going to come. We all agree that maybe this has come too soon. What stung more than I think the announcement, if they said the PS6 is digital only, I probably would be annoyed, and I am annoyed at it, but that is the natural progression of the industry.
Yeah.
What I don't like is the way it was announced without answering several key questions and issues that relate to digital versus physical. One, what does it mean for my ability to trade games with people? What does it mean for game preservation? What does it mean for resale? And what does it mean for ownership? What does it mean for the back catalogue of physical games I have? Specifically PS4 and 5, right? No one knows that they can't figure out PS3 backwards compatibility, whatever. Sucks. But most major PS3 games are now on PS4 and 5. Anyway, right? So there's a solution there. Not ideal, but, Ken Kugarati and the PS3, what's it called? What's the chip called? Oh my god, I'm blanking. The cell processor. No one can figure that shit out, right? I can't even remember it. The cell processor. Annoying, but what does it mean for my PS4 and 5 discs? Does this mean PS6 will have some sort of external or internal kind of attached disk drive very similar to PS5 Slim? Or is the idea that isn't happening? What does it mean for my back catalog? Xbox have rumored to be talking about a game to digital or disc to digital platform where you can convert your licenses. Is that something PlayStation's investigating? And I say all this to say that, again, I would hate this announcement, but if this announcement was, hey, we are making this decision, current trends are, we estimate a vast majority of our players will be playing digital, but for those who play physical, we hear you, and this is what we're doing. Boom, boom, boom. You'll be able to, trade your digital copies with your friends. You'll be able to do, this is what it means for your back catalog. We will continue to produce Blu-ray readers or, disc readers for future generations or something along those lines, right? They obviously can't talk about PS6, but some level of assurity that my library is now not going to be, it's not going to be playable on my PS6. And if I was a digital gamer during PS4 and 5, I would benefit for PS6 having that back catalog be available. Those were the issues that weren't addressed. And I don't know what your thoughts are on that if it still would have stung, but if they had came out and said, we hear you and here's our approach, and we'll talk to you more about that at a later date, but this is where we're at, it would be far less. The outrage would be, I think, significantly less.
I do think they, like I said, they went about it in a blog post. It was just the wrong way to go about it. They just pissed so many people off by not answering those questions. I think the way they should have done it is when they announced the PS6, they should have just said this console, because they're releasing, the new portable with the PS6 home console. Obviously, that will work hand in hand. And that would have to be digital only. And they could have sold it like that. Be like, due to the process of us wanting a seamless ecosystem between PS6 portable and PS6 home, this ecosystem is now all digital. However, and then you have your game plan like you're talking about with your physical discs. Ability to share. Will my PS5 disc drive be compatible with the PS6 console via an adapter link or something?
Yeah. Will there be an external, like a PS6 dedicated disc drive? But I will mention to your point before you continue there, this is the rock and the hard place that they find themselves in, that whilst have my view on what they needed to address, also respect that I don't think they should have done this with PS6, because this is business 101. Get all the bad news out the year before, and then all the good news comes out with the product, right? So they're not going to want to to drop that was the issue with Vita, right? When they
Xbox, with
right
the
at the end,
Xbox.
they're like, proprietary, SD cards, and like, that sucks.
Yeah.
So I get them wanting to get the bad news out now, and I get that they can't talk about PS6, right? Because they don't want to acknowledge it in market yet, like, more broadly. But to your point, it shouldn't have been a blog post. It could have been a PlayStation update video, right? And
Yeah.
it's
Like a
Hideki Nishino
press
sitting
conference,
down with Sid
something.
Schumann, and it's, hey, look, here it is. This is the reasons why, right? And it's not
Yeah.
very much like them to do that, but maybe this is what they needed to do, just because knowing that it was going to upset a lot of people and to settle
Yeah.
people down is kind of like, we will talk to you more about this at a later date, but we acknowledge that this is going to be a huge shock to some of our, longest standing players. We got you, and we'll tell you more about that later.
Yeah, it's just not okay. But at the same time, when I said they announced the PS6 and they do it to Cyber, like they could just not address it. They could just say PS6 is digital only. Done. They don't have to be like the death of physical media. They don't have to say like we're not stopping Blu-rays. You know what I mean? We're not stopping producing discs.
Yeah,
At
and
the
maybe
same
that's the
time-
compromise that comes out of this, is to say that like we'll continue production on PS5 and 4 physical copies,
Yeah.
but our next generation will be digital only. We'll have a way for you to play your physical games on PS6, but
Yeah.
there will not be any native PS6 physical copies. Maybe that's
Which
the
is-
result of what's coming now, because
That could be it. But yeah, but like you said, there's so many unanswered questions about what is going on right now. It's like and everyone is taking. It's not no news is good news in this situation. No news is the end of the fucking world, and so many people are at Sony's throats right now, being like, and the social media prowess of this is insane. We have like all types of influencers and like YouTubers
Yeah.
and talking about
100,000 people, kind of doing what's those things called where you sign a petition. 100,000 people have already signed a petition. There's
I
other
signed it.
businesses mocking them, like Domino's and a few others.
yeah, in KFC.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I signed that petition.
Me too.
Keep Disc Live. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
What about ownership? Let's talk about ownership, because this is something that you mentioned at the start, having a physical copy and what that means. What does this do for ownership?
Yeah, because we've had so many instances now where like Sony revoked X amount of like, and we can talk about from the Funimation Crunchyroll buyout where the media that you purchased in like your Funimation studios did not carry over to Crunchyroll, even though they had a united license of anime.
Both owned by Sony.
Yeah, and then you have items getting delisted on certain Amazon stores for like Amazon Prime Video and things that you've actually purchased. You've bought the movie, but then they've delisted it, so then you can't even access it anymore. So it's a revocable license, I think is the best way to call it. It's not actually a purchase of a game. I'm not buying anything. I am renting it until further notice.
Yeah, owning the right to access the license.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is not
good.
which is not buying it at all. It is a completely different word for it. Just because I'm purchasing it doesn't mean I'm buying it. Buying implies ownership.
Yeah.
This is not an ownership thing.
Yeah. And the thing is, and you might know this, but that has always been the case, and that is the case with physical. The difference is, and this is going all the way back to in the 90s, right? PS1. Your physical, you don't own you own the license, the key to play the game. The difference is, for Sony to take that game from you, they would have to knock on your door and take your physical copy of Crash Bandicoot, as opposed to purely just removing the game from digital ecosystems. So ownership is a major point, and if Sony wants to go in this direction, again, they have several key questions to answer, and one of those is, what does this mean for ownership? Because if the world has rapidly changed, what was true in the 90s around what you own on a disc versus digital shouldn't be the same as it is today. And it should be that if I buy a digital copy of Intergalactic, that it is a copy that I've purchased and it's mine to own. And if it does get removed from storefronts or whatever, I will continue to have the right to re-download and play that game because I had purchased it at the time. And this is probably a position where we're going to need lawmakers across the globe to start applying pressure. I think we've already seen comments out of the EU and France. Some of their politicians are already kind of stoking the flames about this. And Sony's already got multitude of lawsuits already against them around monopolization of the digital storefront, being the PlayStation Store. And this will only amplify that potentially. It really depends on, their blog post speaks about the ability to buy the games at retail still. What I don't know is this going to be a code on a card that is the same copy as the digital purchase, or is this going to be like similar to physical, still going to be a digital card, but it's still sold to physical as in like the stores will buy X amount and they'll have stock of say 100 copies of whatever, whatever number.
Yeah.
And then they've got control over pricing. It's like, oh, we've over ordered, so we're going to discount these ones. They've been on the shelf for ages. Or if it's purely just going to be retailers, here's access to an unlimited amount of codes, and it's you're selling them at basically zero cost, for the retailer, and it's the benefit to the retailer is, hey, you get those people in your store and they can buy a pop vinyl or whatever. But this will kill, it will kill mum and pop physical retailers. EB Games, and we've spoken to one of our friends who works at EB, and this is something we knew true even when we were working retail, is that the world had transitioned to it's actually Pokemon cards and all the other things that we make money on, and video games is the least, profitable part of the business.
Yeah.
But ownership.
That's a good point. It's like, how would TCG players be like, and we're going to stop making TCGs, but you can buy them all in this app that we might delist in 50 years.
That's probably,
It's a fair
potential.
Point. You know what I mean? I've spent so much money in certain games or whatever. Not recently, but I put a lot of money into League of Legends, free to play game, and I put hundreds of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
I can also not play the game right now, but if the game gets delisted, that's all that money gone.
Yeah,
that's the crap thing about online, and I think ever since I came to that realization, I stopped doing that.
Yeah. And Sony's banking on you going, well, where are you going to go, right? There's only us, Xbox, and they're literally as of tonight, we'll be probably announcing their restructure and the closure of several studios, and they're on an obvious decline. And there's Nintendo, but there's a big power gap between the consoles, and there'll be even bigger of a gap once PS6 comes out. And a lot of people want to play on a high-end high-end device. Or I go to PC, which is also digital. So it's kind of again, I think it's more, I get the decision, but I think they have, Sean Layden's comments ring true. They have a responsibility as stewards. Let's talk about the ability to resell or trade or share a game, and what you think that might look like in a digital world.
Okay, so I don't know how they're going to feel about if Sony is running the entire thing, is coming out of their, like you said, it's coming out of just the PlayStation Store, and they're not, and these licenses are zero profit for the retailer. They're just a code only. They have no tangible value for the retailer, and they're purely from the Microsoft Store. These are not going to be tradable at all. They're not going to be tradable. They're not going to be sellable. They're not going to be borderline refundable after a certain amount of time.
That's another point. Ability to refund a physical game versus digital. But anyway, keep going. We'll talk about that. Yeah.
I don't think Sony's going to allow any kind of sharing at all.
Yeah, I hope that's not true.
Which is terrible, because even Nintendo's found a way to do it. They do their little virtual card thing, sharing between devices. You can borrow it for 7 days, I think it is, and then it comes back.
And then you got to continue to redo it.
Yeah,
they have to solve for this, I think, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we should expect them to. And if they don't, they should feel the wrath of,
Well, I think it's funny that Nintendo has found a way to do it, because the cool thing about that is the way Nintendo's done it is you sharing it digitally is like sharing it physically, where at the time when you share it, the person who originally owns it can't use it.
Mm. Yeah.
So it's like they've loaned it out for 7 days, even if it's a digital copy, that person does not have access to that digital copy in 7 days. For 7 days. That is genius. Kind of feels almost the the cause and effect of trading.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I've relinquished this game for 7 days for someone else to use.
Yeah.
I actually can't do it, even though it's technically in my system. I actually don't have access to it, and it's kind of, it's good. Like
Yeah.
I actually kind of I think that's actually quite
Underrated,
really,
I think.
yeah, underrated way of using it.
Because
And
I know with
I've gamed
PlayStation
shit
you can have
before.
like family accounts and primary and secondary, and Ryan spoke about that yesterday. That he's got his son who has a secondary console and they share games and codes. So there's the benefit of, hey, I've got this game on multiple devices because I brought the game digital and you can't do that physical. But it limits the ability to do what I've done, right? It's like, here, Vinny, you want to play Metal Gear, right? Here's my copy. They need to have a soul for that. Whether they do, I think they need to have, and that's the thing. That's the point we made at the start. They needed to answer these questions alongside this announcement, and that wasn't done. What do you think this does for pricing? Right, we obviously in the Australian market, physical is often more cheaper, is less expensive than in digital. Take Wolverine for instance, $99 at JB Hi-Fi, $130 in the Australian store, PlayStation store.
Yep.
So a $30 delta.
Yeah.
We are now, or will be,
strong-armed into buying potentially PlayStation Store pricing
at full retail,
Because
discounted
at full
when they
retail.
choose,
Yeah.
Um,
And I can tell you right now, I'm not paying $130 for Wolverine. I was skeptical about paying $100 for that game. I know it's going to be good, and I know I'm going to enjoy it, but even $100 is a lot.
oh, yeah. And not only that, like, someone like me who buys a lot of games, like, I probably would pay, like, I am paying $100 for Wolverine, and I might pay $130 for it on the store, but what does that mean multiplied out? Someone like me who buys 1 or 2 games a month, potentially, that's in some instances nearly the cost of another full game, on top of what I was going to pay originally, and I'm not buying it in the format that I would want. So again, Sony need to justify that and have these other things in place where there's benefit of me buying it digital, right? The obvious benefit is like, hey, you brought it on your digital PS6 and you can take it, on the go digitally on your PlayStation handheld, and it's native, it's not streaming. That's all good and fine. But what does it mean from a pricing perspective? What does it mean for a monopoly perspective? What does it mean for my ability to trade my copy? There's not going to be a resale market. Like people talk about like a secondhand digital market. Like it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. What's a secondhand digital game? That ain't happening. What does it mean for my ability to return a game? So currently you can return a game on PlayStation, but you can purchase it. You can't download it. The moment you download it, you're not getting a refund. Unless it's like a Cyberpunk situation where it's broken. Steam has a 2-hour, I think, refund policy where if you buy a game, you can return it within 2 hours of game time. These are the things that Sony need to, again, answer.
Figure out,
And not only that, the PlayStation Network is susceptible to being hacked. We've seen it multiple times recently.
Multiple times. It's interesting because when you talk about the way Steam does it, is Steam is not monopolized in the people use it as a primary for playing games online, but there are on PC, but there's a Microsoft Store, Xbox Store, Steam. Then you have other avenues where people sell the card as like Green Man Gaming. You have like GOG. There are different avenues to buy. Like Steam is not like PC. There is so many different ways to buy a game on PC. So therefore, there is no monopoly there. But PlayStation running a one ecosystem is going to have the one store, and that is a monopoly in itself. And like, same. Like if Nintendo did this, we'd be saying the same thing about Nintendo. Yeah. Like this is just not.
If Xbox did it, it'd be like, okay, you do what you.
If Xbox did it, go. Put make games exclusive. See who cares.
Yeah.
It's the fact that they have now monopolized their whole storefront.
And people talk about the ability, like, vinyl's popular again, and people are buying CDs and all that. I'm like, yeah, that's cool because you can buy a CD player made by a million different companies. There's only one company making PlayStation consoles.
Yeah,
it's PlayStation, and there's only one company who owns the license to making the discs.
And it's Sony.
PlayStation. It's Sony, right? What do you think from a preservation perspective? What does this do?
It halts preservation. It halts the ability that we can do to have any kind of, if someone throws an EMP at the world and kills off all like servers and whatever, it's like those games are lost forever. The only people who have them now in that sense are the people who can hold it physically.
Yeah.
So the preservation side of things is now. Have you ever heard the term? It's a popular thing when they use backups. It's called 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So
but that makes sense.
yeah, so 2 copies is 1 backup.
Yeah.
1 copy is no backup.
Yeah.
So this is the sense of we're having now 1 copy and no backup. So game preservation is now at a risk for certain games. Like they can delist things as much as they want. Those games are gone forever.
Yeah.
We have no access of even trying to get the ISO file for the game to try and preserve it in some kind of backup situation. And we see it with preservation of different ROMs throughout generations. They use it as a backup source. People are able to find games, back them up, and just preserve them just in the archives. Like people can download them and keep them as they want them. You can preserve your own media by ripping the discs and putting them on your computer for backups just in case something goes wrong. But now with digital, you can't do that. You've now lost the ability to preserve for the average person. You've lost the ability to preserve your own collection of games, things that you've purchased, things that you've bought, things that you quote unquote own. You've now lost that ability.
Yeah.
Like you have no backup.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mostly agree. And I think, look, there's probably a position around preservation is probably done mostly with digital anyway, because most games are digital. Like when you take into account all the games released in the world and on platforms and PC, they're probably mostly digital anyway. So it's my hope that there is a way of doing that. And I know like storefronts like GOG, where it's like you download a copy of the game and you can copy that onto a disc, you can put it onto a USB and launch it without even launching Steam.
Yeah, it's actually awesome.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. Well, Vinny, is there anything else you wanted to kind of touch on that? Like, I think we're all in agreement. This is just a decision that we saw coming, that has come too soon, that is being done in the worst possible way.
It's just, and like this is just us having a rant, being like, it's not okay. We don't agree with it, and we are just too. Yeah, it's two small timey YouTubers trying to have their opinion, put it out there in the world. But if you look at this if you just open up YouTube and you're into gaming at all,
it's all everywhere.
If this is not at least one of your 5 recommended videos in the top, like you're living under a rock. Like this is everywhere right now. It's so huge. Like,
what do you think is going to happen? Like with Sony already, they haven't made the shift to their distribution kind of manufacturing plans, but obviously have spoken about the fact that they are going to be converting those people to be doing the lenses. They've come out and privately communicated with publishers that they will have the ability to reorder existing PlayStation copies of games that have launched, right? So Wolverine can get a rerun of disc prints in 2029, and that's okay. But they're significantly expecting production to be like 90% lower than what it is now, where that is all they're producing, which tells me they're still going to have the ability to print discs if they wanted to.
Yeah.
How do you think? How does this shift, right? Because they're not going to change PS6, right? That's kind of set in stone. Yeah. So how do they do? They're going to do it, but how do they? Do they, like we said earlier, just say we'll continue to print discs for PS4 and 5 up until 2035, or not even give a date? We'll just say we'll continue to do it. But maybe they make a note in there that their future hardware will be digital only. Mm-hmm. And again, we will come and talk to you more. At least that will plant the seed that PS6 is digital, right? Future hardware. They're not referencing next generation at all. So we'll continue to print discs for PS4 and 5 until the foreseeable future. But our future hardware will be digital moving forward. And we will have ways for physical owners to continue to play in the future. And that's it. At least that's something.
Yeah, but it's not good enough. Like, even if Sony moved to a demand and supply
Yeah.
kind of
I'd buy
scenario
it
where it
direct.
was, I'd buy it direct as well. I'd be like, hey, we're doing, you know, this batch is X amount. We're doing this run of games. Put in your order, pay, and you'll get your game in 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah. Keep retailers happy. Make, just like they have like Amazon exclusives or whatever. Maybe go to, the big players in JB and EB and be like, you guys are our outlets in regions where you can't go to PlayStation Direct, like in the US where they've got PlayStation Direct. And like I already saw that now when I was doing some of my pre-orders, early in the year, that EB had like exclusive still case versions of games that no other retailer had. And EB often have exclusives, right? Like when you talk about GameSpot, stop. Like maybe it is just EB and maybe one other, and it's like, well, your Targets and Big W's and all that will stop selling games, but there will be dedicated, because they still need retail to sell hardware, so they're going to need to support it. But yeah, I would be comfortable with that. Maybe it's like, hey, we're going to charge $10 more RRP on physical games, and keep the prices steady on digital, and it's going to be cheaper for you to buy a digital game now, depending on the market and the region, than physical. Like, that at least gives people, it sucks, I'm not advocating
It gives
for
people
that,
the option.
but it gives the option. So yeah. We'll continue to, there is, every post I see on Twitter is like the meme or photo of like waiting for Sony to come out, like to say something else, because they haven't posted anything in days. People aren't going to let this go. Apparently it's been community noted now 9 times, and Sony's tried to remove it each time, and it just keeps getting added back on because people are furious.
Well, that's another thing where it's the herd mentality and the power of the people. Like, this could be a very serious thing for Sony, where all it takes, because everyone's chronically, like, the majority of people are chronically online these days. You think about like Moist Critical or anyone who's he's probably the only personally I know who's like somewhat relevant these days, but who appeals to the masses. But if he says, and he's a big advocate of stop killing games and video game preservation, if he says to his audience, which is millions of people being like, who are primarily gamers, I am not going to buy a PS6 and you shouldn't either. Like, let's stand together and say, fuck Sony.
Yep.
And all it takes is another influencer of his, like a friend of his, who reaches a slightly wider audience and a slightly wider audience. And then all of a sudden you have this herd mentality of no one's buying this console. Granted, a lot of people won't be able to buy this console because it'd be so freaking expensive anyway.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the thing.
like,
maybe they know that. And it's like, well, we just want to maximize our hardcore that will be their day one. But to your point, I saw this on the morning show in Australia.
Yeah.
Like, it's rippled.
It has rippled. It's gone everywhere. And the fact that people, the voice of people and opinion has never been stronger, and you see it the way, like, you see it in a lot of negative senses, but this is some way where it can be driven positively.
Yeah.
For the gaming industry at least.
Yeah.
Like for the players, not for the profits.
For the players. That was their tagline at some point. The famous Shuhei and Adam Boys had a game on PlayStation. Yeah.
Thanks.
How times have changed. All right.
Yep.
Moving on. Speaking of times changing, the next piece of terrible news that PlayStation announced on the same day, again coming from PlayStation blog and communications director Sid Schumann, an update on the PlayStation Store for PS3 and PS Vita. After nearly 2 decades, after nearly 2 decades of supporting the PS3 console generation, we wanted to let you know that we'll be closing the PlayStation Store on PS3, as well as the PlayStation Vita Store. PlayStation Store on PS3 will close in select markets starting this year, followed by a global closure for PS3 and Vita next year. That means new content purchases will no longer be possible once the PlayStation Store closes on these devices. To ease this transition, players will still be able to download previously purchased content after the closing date for the foreseeable future. As the PlayStation Store continues to evolve to support modern commerce systems, including updated payment processing standards, PS3 and Vita are no longer able to support these updates at the level required. As a result, we will need to close the PlayStation Store on these devices in timeframes as follows. So for those in Mexico, Honduras, and Nigeria, PlayStation Store will close August 2026. Additional Latin American and Middle East countries, PS Store will close on PS3 late 2026. In all other countries, PlayStation Store on PS3 and Vita will close July 2027. We know this news may be disappointing to PS3 and Vita owners who still hold a very special place in our hearts for this generation of gaming. PS3 and PS Vita represents an important era to our PlayStation history, so this was not an easy decision for us to make. We'll continue to expand the PlayStation experience and new devices, yada 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 yada. Anyway, that's it. So this is obviously announced alongside the physical disc production ending, which is quite ironic to be like, hey, we're going digital and we're closing one of our digital stores. Not great timing.
Which is terrible timing.
Terrible timing. Yeah. For those keeping track, you'll remember Sony had originally announced the closure of PS3 and Vita during 2021, I believe, and due to fan backlash at the time, had postponed it. I will be real. When this was first announced the first time in 2021, I was very sad. I think I was so like gobsmacked about the physical disc thing that when this was announced, I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm like, I think I've gotten to the point now with PS3 and Vita where I'm like, I get it. Like I sent you guys photos of me upgrading my hard drive in my PS3 and getting it up and running. Yep. And let me tell you, the hoops I had to go through just to get into the PlayStation Store, right? So change the hard drive, so it needed to be reformatted. Fair enough. So got the USB, make sure it was FAT32, went on the PlayStation thing, downloaded the latest update, plugged that into the PS3, reboot, right? Fine, fair enough. That was because I updated the hard drive. So then I go to sign into the PlayStation Network for the first time in this new environment. He goes, you can't sign in on the PS3. Instead, scan the QR code. So then I go into the QR code, takes me to the PlayStation website. The app doesn't work on the PlayStation website. Then I have to put through my two-factor authentication. Then it's like, okay, go. And then I log in the password. It's like, no, we're actually going to give you a temporary password that you'll need to use to enter into the PlayStation network. And then after that, your existing password will then be in effect. So then I do that. Then I go on the PlayStation Store. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to start re-downloading everything that I've purchased digitally, which wasn't too many things because back then everything was physical.
Yeah, fair.
The PlayStation Store barely loads. It breaks. It crashed a few times. Finally get in. Then I'm like, all right, I'm going to make a few purchases just to clear up some of the stuff that I didn't purchase at the time. You can't add money to your wallet. You can't buy games directly on the PlayStation 3 store. You can't use the PlayStation app. You have to go on the PlayStation website, manually add money to your wallet, which will then appear on your PS3 store, and then you can use that money to buy things. So this thing was limping along for literally years. In fact, by the time we got to PS4, PS3 for most people was not usable. But we'll maybe touch on the news first, and then we'll get into some of like the nostalgic, because that era of gaming is a very important era for me and for you in sense of like 2006 all the way to 2013 for me was my entire high school life. A really big part of my life, and we met around this time. Like PS3 is still my favorite generation of PlayStation. It was the most fun to watch play out. But let's stick to the news first. Vinny, how do you feel about this? Does it feel like, look, we probably got an extra few years out of it, and it's time.
Yeah.
Let him rest.
And you know what's funny? I even think the people who put the backlash on Sony the first time really didn't care enough to
do it again.
Actually do anything about it. Yeah. Like, it's happened. It's been 20 years for an ecosystem to keep it alive in this like technological age is crazy. Like, you can put it to rest and that's okay. Yeah. Like, for me, the PS Vita was like not really that big of a deal for me. But I had one and I did enjoy my time with it. I didn't buy anything digital though. But the PS3, I had everything physical as well. Yeah. So this doesn't really affect me too deeply. Like, this was both for me. This was still I think I've purchased a digital game at this point in 2006.
This is like when you go to someone's house, right? And they're like, oh, here's my dog. And it's like, it's been with the family for like 15 years. And this thing's like blind. It's like, it can't.
Yeah, cataracts.
Yeah,
it's like
can't
walk,
walk, missing a leg. and it's like, kill me.
Snaggletooth, yeah.
Yeah. That's how I feel
limping.
now. You know, I think in 2021 it was like, how dare you? But I feel like now it's fine. Like, it sucks. It sucks for all the things we spoke about in the prior topic around preservation. That all stuff still stands. It sucks that, you know, there's still what really sucks is there's a lot of things still stuck on PS3, like Killzone, Infamous, Resistance. Those are all still stuck on PS3, plus a whole bunch of indie games, a lot of PlayStation Japan games, a Puppeteer, a whole bunch of different things, right? Most things have moved across, right? Metal Gear Solid 4 was one of the big last ones that's now coming in August. So I think most people are like, you know...
It's okay.
Yeah, Vita has a few, though. Like, you think about Uncharted Golden Abyss and Killzone Mercenaries, and there's a few that are Vita locked. Uncharted probably being the biggest, right? Like a full-fledged
sure.
Uncharted game developed by Sony Bend. But, you know, I think we've gone a lot through the negative of it all, and this is, you know, shitty news, but, you know, we probably were waiting for the day for this to announce. But I kind of do want to talk about that generation and what we were like at the time, if you can cast your minds back all that way. And, I don't know, talk about some of your favorite memories of that generation. I don't know if you were playing on PlayStation primarily. I don't believe you were. I was, so I can talk about that a little bit. But, yeah, what was Vinnie like in 2006 up until the end of 2013?
Let's see. I can tell you, in 2006, the generation I started with was the Wii. So I was actually and then in 2009 I got a 360. So
One of those.
I was one of those boys. I was from growing up Sony and PlayStation. Sony, PlayStation, and Nintendo. I went to 360 because that was the ecosystem all my friends were on. And Josh is listening very intently as he's trying to reach for something.
Sorry. My standing desk nearly knocked something over. Sorry.
Okay. And it was I actually didn't get a PS3 until we started working in retail.
Yeah, I actually remember that.
Hand.
Yeah.
Bought it secondhand. I bought the Slim. My brother did have a PS3 at one point though. He got the fat one, day one, $1,000 one. Yeah. And I just used to look at it and be like, wow, this thing's amazing. And he just played Blu-rays on it. And I'm like, he never played anything. I'm like, all right, classic. But for me, it was the PS3 was, I wanted to get it originally because I'm like, I know Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be on this thing. It's going to be amazing. Skipped an entire generation.
Yeah. How wrong you were.
But I wanted to play Uncharted. I wanted to play The Last of Us. I wanted to play the Ratchet and Clank series that was on there. Like, and just those are the ones that are off the top of my head. I know there's some bangers on that console, like Demon Souls, Dark Souls, but a lot of the games I also bought on 360. But when it comes to the Vita, I remember playing the Vita. I remember getting the Vita specifically because I was playing Persona 4 on PS2.
Yep.
And I remember speaking to our friend Dom, who we used to work with. And he's like, oh, you got to get Golden. And I'm like, what's Golden? He's like, oh, it's on the Vita. It's the same one. And like my brother had a Vita that he never touched. And I just grabbed it. I'm like, I'm taking this. And he's riddled with ADHD and I still have it 20 years later.
Yeah.
So he doesn't even know it existed. And I played Persona 4 Golden on that. And that is, and I said it in another episode where your first Persona game is your favorite Persona game and no one can tell you otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my memories with like playing Persona 4 Golden and having the relationships with those like characters and like really getting engulfed in the story and playing playing a game that's like, oh my god, this is a PS2 game and I can play it handheld. Like that's insane to me.
Yeah, console gaming on the go. That was the tagline. Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that you could do the whole stream it with the PS3 as well.
Yeah, and they had cross-buy. So games like PlayStation All-Stars or Sly Cooper 4 was buy it once, get it on Vita. Yeah,
amazing. Like honestly, like so ahead of its time. And we spoke about like the love for like that OLED screen and like, and it tried to do too much.
Yeah,
and
don't need the gyro, don't need the back touch.
Yeah. It was amazing for the time, but like it just tried to do too much and it failed because it was too expensive and tried to do too much.
SD card, that was the killer.
The proprietary SD card.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, PS3 is, like I've said, my favorite generation of PlayStation, and it's so special to me for a million different reasons. This is the era in which I became cognizant of the industry and like really got into the podcasting scene. And this is where, at the time, my uncle was still working at Harvey Norman's. He was the head of the entertainment games section, so he got a PS3 day one. I remember him coming home with a whole bunch of Blu-rays and games like Motorstorm and Resistance. Like, I've got like this deep memory of that time. I remember when I got my PS3 it was the following year. It was the 40 gig fat model that came when my parents upgraded their TV, and it was like, obviously a Sony TV, and it had this deal where it came with the PS3. And I remember begging them. Right, there was no way I was going to get the $1,000 console. Can you imagine? Like,
Yeah.
back then, no, not going to happen. I was very fortunate to get the 40 gig model, and some of my favorite games are of that generation. Like, it's crazy to think The Last of Us is a PS3 game.
Yeah.
But yeah, what an
Right.
amazing generation to follow. Obviously, the console launched. It launched at $5.99 USD. There was a backlash with that. The cell processor was hard to develop for. And it wasn't really until 2009 with PS3 Slim and the release of games like Uncharted 2 and Infamous and that 2009, 2010 return of PlayStation, the price cut, Kevin Butler, the whole thing, that all happened in that same generation. It's the same generation we got the whole Uncharted trilogy on.
Yeah.
The Batman Arkham games, Killzone, Resistance, some of the best, Metal Gear Solid 4. We got a lot of HD collections of some of the best PS2 games, right? Blue Point were doing,
Jack and Daxter,
all the Metal Gears, all the Ratchet and Clanks, all the Sly Coopers,
Devil
all the
May
Jack
Cry.
and Daxters. Yeah, Eco and Shadow of the Colossus, like the list goes on. It was the era of like the first digital interaction, right? Like, think about like the first time, it was probably mostly on Xbox because that was the primary driver of the industry at the time, but Xbox Live, and like the first time everyone's had that experience where it's like, playing a game online, whether it is like a Call of Duty that you've just tried because that was the in thing at the moment, and like having people's voices be on the other end. Like, I remember with Warhawk, was my first experience playing online, and I have, give me a sec, I'll see if I still have it. One sec.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk about my first gaming experience online. I'm pretty sure my first gaming experience online was actually playing Halo 3. And, man, that game is, like, anyone who's, I guess, my age who has played Halo 3 knows that was a banger of a game to play. It was, like, playing on the pit, and it was just playing with your friends and just getting absolutely destroyed, or absolutely the satisfaction of just kicking someone's ass who you didn't know in a game of Halo 3 was just immense. Like, it was euphoric. There was nothing like it.
Ooh, I don't know if that's coming through.
PS3 wireless stereo headset. Official product.
This is my original PS3 headset that I played online with in the 2010-11 era. Like,
Yeah.
insane, right? Let me just bring this old boy out. I can't believe I still have it. Yeah. Like, this is physical, right? This is why physical is so important. Like, the dongle that it came with.
Yeah.
And, oh man, this thing's... Oh, wow. So the I don't know, the leather, whatever's on the inner material.
Oh, it's like all deteriorated.
It's gone all
cracking.
white and it's starting to deteriorate. But yeah, I remember like, the extendable microphone. Like, this was like high tech at the time. But yeah, like, such an important memory, right? Here it is. There it launched Vita box.
There it is.
Crazy.
You got the normal one, not the 3G and Wi-Fi. You just got the 3G.
No,
one?
just the Wi-Fi one, right? Enjoy incredible gaming experience on a stunning 5-inch OLED. Like, so
OLED 20 years ago, people. The Switch didn't do it first.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so it's such an important generation. Like, again, the memories of like your first experience online and first experience downloading a game, first experience of DLC, like just so many memories. And the generation itself was it was like Sony at the lowest. They had the hack of 2011, and PSN went down for 23 days or whatever it was. And
Yeah.
it was just such a crazy time, and it was the intersection of modern gaming, because a lot of the games are, dated now, but still feel somewhat modern. So
Yeah.
it was the intersection of like that, the games that we play today, but also it was still niche enough where it had the whimsy of the earlier generations of like PS1 and 2, where it's still kind of like not everyone knew what gaming was or like was fully across what it could be.
Yeah.
Now everyone gets it, right? Everyone knows like The Last of Us because it's got a HBO show. Like it's different now.
Yeah, that's true. It's something where it was almost gate kept, but not in that kind of way. It was your community was a niche, and I can see it when I had. And it was funny when you had like a niche within a niche, because we had our own little like Power Rangers, which is like, it's funny when you have a sense of community that doesn't appeal to the masses. You have your own little group.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was nice to have that camaraderie in the space, and you could talk to an enthusiast about games when they came into the shop, and you could talk to some of your friends who are also enthusiasts about games who want to discuss. Like it was really good. Like it was just fun.
Yeah,
like that. Like I think I never spoke about games more and played so little in that generation, funnily enough, because we did it for a job.
Yeah.
But
that's how we became friends too. Like it was funny, like how I became the PlayStation guy at work. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like it was like Josh was the PlayStation guy.
Yeah, we had Josh, PlayStation guy, John the Xbox guy.
Yeah.
I was the Yu-Gi-Oh guy, and then we had someone else was Nintendo guy.
Yeah. And then, we had Sean was like kind of in between.
Everything.
Dom was
everything.
like Japanese PlayStation. He was into the games we didn't even know existed.
He was a proper weeb, that man.
Yeah, real weeb. So yeah, PS3, Vita, we will miss you. Rest in peace.
Rest in pepperonis.
Rest in pepperonis. All right, Vinny, let's wrap us up with the segment we call Perfect Parry, where we predict the Metacritic score of some of the latest releases of video games.
Yes.
So, to catch everyone back up to speed, our last episode was on Star Fox. Vinny had predicted a 78 Metacritic. I had landed at a 79. The game came in with an 81 Metacritic. So, Vinny, that's 2 points, and I received 3. Now puts me 4 points behind. Vinny's now at 20 points in total. I'm at 16. And for those paying attention, what this is all going to result in is our final episode of the year. The loser has to dress up in clown makeup and gear and do the full episode in that gear. And also needs to buy the other person a drink.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, as is
what
we have
tradition.
to do.
All right, Vinny. Next up on the list, Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, launching on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, July 9th. I believe I predicted first with Star Fox, so I'll hand over to you.
All right. So this game is, people say it's one of the best Assassin's Creeds ever. Like,
Yeah,
I've only
arguably.
played I've played the Ezio
Trilogy.
trilogy plus Revelations.
Mhm.
Was it Brotherhood, Revelations?
Yeah, so
those
it's
two.
Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhoods, and Revelations. It's the 3 Ezio games.
Yep. And the first one is what I played as well. So, I've never played Black Flag. I've heard nothing but positive things. It was the whole, the reason, and they always spoke about this game getting remade for the longest time.
Yeah.
It's finally coming out. Do I think it's going to live up to the original standard of Assassin's Creed 4, which I think at the time it got an 8. At the average,
I think it was 88.
is 88.
Yeah.
Do I think it's going to be an 88? I'm going to have to say no. Do I think it's going to be close? I'm going to say yes. I think it's going to be an 86.
86. Right.
Yeah.
I am on the exact same wavelength as you. I'm going to go 87.
Oh, you're just shy.
Because it's interesting because it's probably going to come out more favorable than the first, but receive a lower Metacritic score because it's a different time.
Yeah.
It'd be funny to see. But I think this game's going to be like one of Ubisoft's most well-received games because the changes they're making...
I think so too.
Yeah, sound like the right changes, right? They're getting rid of a lot of the escort missions that people didn't like, some of the ship stealth missions that people didn't like, and then they're refining everything else. So, yeah, 87 is my prediction, and we'll continue to follow that through. I didn't explain the scoring system, so I'll very quickly do that. Very simple. It's on the screen now. Essentially, we predict the Metacritic score. If you get the score on the knocker, that's 10 points, and then from every number up or down from the predicted from the actual score, you receive 4, 3, 2, and 1 point. So if it's an 80, and I predict 80, 10 points. If I guessed 84, I only get 1 point. So that's how it works. Vinny's actually got the one and only correct prediction with 007 First Light, where you got 10 points. So congratulations, Vinny. All right, Vinny. Let's wrap her up. Anything you wanted to touch on as we wrap up this what had been somewhat of it was a somber yet fun discussion, I would say.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
No, I'm just really like it's really given me I'd say this news has lit a fire under my ass when it comes to collecting physical media. I'm probably going to make more of an effort to buy physical in the sense the way that you pre-order stuff like you. And I kind of saw it when I was trying to track down Pragmata and Saros and 007 First Light, 3 PS5 games that I wanted to play, and I struggled to find them the day I wanted to buy them. Yeah, that was the hard part. Like I couldn't find them retail. I had to order one. I had to buy one straight out from EB Games, like delivery. Yeah, I had to pay full price for it. You know what I mean? For one of them. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to make more of an effort to do the pre-order thing that you're doing. Like there's a few games now that I want to get physical, even though they're not on PlayStation, like, but they're really good indie games that I want to buy. Like Mouse PI finally came out, physical. I think it's this week.
Yeah.
On the Switch 2 that I want to pick up.
Yeah, and I think it's on PlayStation as well. I've seen a physical copy.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm kind of sworn off a little bit of PlayStation right now. So I'm gonna get more physical on the Switch. But yeah, what are your thoughts, feelings?
Yeah, man, this is really sad news. It'll be interesting to see when Sony come out next, if they'll address it, what they'll do. I want answers. If it is the end, part of my OCD is like okay with it because it's like, okay, I've got an end point in which my collection will kind of encapsulate, but I need access to my games and I need to know what the future will hold, because again, we all saw this coming. But I miss the era of PlayStation where it was fun to celebrate them, right? For the players era, the how to trade your game era, the PlayStation Experience era, the in-person E3 event era, like the fun Kevin Butler era, a time where gaming wasn't so shitty. And I think we are going to go through it. We're going to see Xbox will announce today, if not tomorrow morning, a slew of closures that we're probably going to need to talk about next week. It's going to be a shrinking of the industry and a restructuring because there's not many of us left, like you and I, and people who listen to this show. We are not the primary consumer anymore, and we have to deal with that. We'll still get the games we want. There might just be less of them, right? Less people making them, but it's going to look drastically different. So, yeah, not to end on a somber note, but rest in peace. And to the Vita and Vita, we love you, sweet Vita. Vinny?
Vita means life.
Vita means life.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Send us away.
May the power protect you.
Bye, physical. Goodbye.